Sometimes it happens, although not often, that a simple-looking guy manages to snatch a stunning beauty. It is logical to assume that such unions usually fall apart and at the initiative of this very beauty. But what if the opposite? So, the question, guys, why did you dump or reject an attractive girl? She had a husband, and I didn't even know. The guy was waiting for us outside the movie theater when we came out. He wasn't mad at me, but I felt really bad. Dude, how do I understand? You? I was fucking a girl for a few months until one day a guy came to my work. It was her husband. He was sent to Iraq for 8 months. Luckily for me, I am a veteran myself, and I explained to him that I would never have pulled such a dirty trick on a military man if I had known. I handed him my phone and told him that if he wanted, he could check everything. And if they were getting a divorce, I was ready to testify on his side. I felt absolutely terrible. I was dating a woman who was too cool for me. She broke up with me, but she kept coming over every Friday and staying the night. After about the 6th time, I asked her to stop. But right after that, my brain said to me, dude, since when do you think it's a problem that a beautiful woman comes to you every Friday? When she left, I felt like my heart was ripped out. It was complete madness. The first morning after our date, on Sunday, she asked if I could give her a ride to the prison on her way home. No, she didn't work there. She was just required to spend every evening there from Sunday to Friday by court order. She insisted that I not wear a condom the first time I had sex with her. This made me think and was a red flag. She got angry and said that it was offensive to her. Well, honey, I don't know. Maybe she wanted to get pregnant, or maybe it was something worse. After the love of my life died when I was very young, I didn't date for a few years. Then I went on a couple of dates with a really hot girl. I finally brought her home with me. A small detail, there's a picture of my dead girlfriend on the shelf in my living room. Not a huge painting, it's postcard size and framed. I love this woman more than life itself, and I always will to some degree. I need this photo to cope. The girl came to me, saw the photo, and threw a wild tantrum. You can't even imagine how wild. In fact, she was aware of the situation because I told her everything in advance. That I lost my girlfriend and wasn't ready to take this step for several years, that I didn't want to rush. She took it adequately and calmly, but then she saw the photo, got angry, and wanted me to remove the photo. I understand that for a new girl this is a strange situation, but she was so adamant that she was not ready to give in under any circumstances, and then I realized I wasn't ready to take the photo down, so I had to break up with her that night. Commentators noted that they too have friends who have lost their significant other, but the new significant other is nonetheless understanding that the first significant other is forever in their hearts. So the girl in this story is clearly wrong. She had everything, a great body, a pretty face, we had similar interests and so on, but she wasn't very smart, and I got tired of trying to explain to her what I was saying. I want to point out that I was struggling with a lot of psychological issues at the time. Although at the time I decided that this was a good enough reason for me to end the relationship, I don't know if I would have left her in my current state. Great girl. I really hope that everything is good in her life because she deserves it. It wasn't me who did this. It was my friend. We were sitting at a bar in the 90s after a punk band's concert. My friend was the singer and guitarist of one of the bands. For context, at the school we went to, punks and skaters were outcasts, and kids had to endure regular bullying from their peers. Anyway, this really hot girl came up to him, handed him her number, and introduced herself. Dude, yeah, I remember you from the school we graduated from a couple of years before. She smiles and tells him something about how it would be nice to meet up sometime. He tears up the piece of paper with her number on it, throws it on the floor, and says, "You didn't understand me. I remember you from school." I will never ever forget this heroic moment. She was the hottest girl I've ever met on Tinder. We met, chatted about nothing, then drove to another bar, each in their own car. When we got there, she seemed a little distracted. She said, "Don't worry, I took some anti-anxiety medication, nothing out of the ordinary." Oh well, I thought she liked me. Maybe I should just go and see her. As soon as we arrived at her place, she immediately offered to have sex, but apart from the offer, there was no effort on her part. I started to get nervous because when we were at her place, her strange state only worsened. I was about to leave, but she started begging me to stick it in her. No thanks, hot girl, addicted to pills. You need to get your head straight. The hottest girl I've ever dated stared at her phone and only looked up for a second at most. The only time she looked at me for longer than a second was when she said, "Well, how about we go and roll around?" Other than that and a little chat in the parking lot when we first met, we barely spoke. I excused myself to go to the bathroom and just left. This was about 15 years ago, when phones had you pressing a button over and over to select the letter you wanted. I can still remember the clicking sound she made as she pressed the buttons all these years later. Later, by the way, the guy decided to check what this girl was doing now. It turned out that she was an unsuccessful influencer on TikTok and Instagram, sometimes streaming on Twitch, begging for donations. I talked to one such girl who showed interest in me. She was too cool for me and I knew it, but I kept talking to her politely to see what would happen. Then, after a couple of weeks of talking, she said something like, "You're so lucky to be talking to someone as hot as me." The bubble burst. I just thanked her for talking, asked her to delete my number and forget about my existence. She didn't like it very much. She started with, "I was just kidding." Then she went on to, "You'll never get a girl like me. You'll never be that lucky again." Maybe she's right, but what attracts me to girls is their character, not their looks. So I soon found a better option for myself. I was dating a girl who was extremely hot, but we had too little in common to enter into a relationship. At first, I felt very flattered, but I got bored pretty quickly. She was nice enough, but I couldn't imagine a future with her, and she wanted to get married and have kids. She was very boring in the sense that she was kind of talking to me, but not to me. We didn't have conversations, we had monologues that went on forever. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't imagine spending the rest of my life with her. I was cruel to her then, but she eventually got married and had a child, so good luck to her. I was lucky because I met my wife shortly after that, and she is everything I ever wanted in a woman. When I was a young guy, it was enough for me that a girl was attractive. But with age, priorities change, and you always want to be with someone you like as a person, and not just because of how this person looks. Started communicating on Instagram with a gorgeous woman. She confirmed her identity and I was convinced that her page was not fake. We met, and somehow it turned out that she was even more beautiful in real life. In addition, she seemed very sweet and charming to me. Right after we broke up, agreeing to meet again, she started texting me in a panic about her ex. He was manipulative, he was threatening her, she couldn't contact him right now, etc. I tried to calm her down, but I wondered why she was texting me this. We barely knew each other. Eventually, she calmed down, wrote that she was going to cut ties with him. She wrote that she thought fate brought her together with me because I was completely different from her ex and stuff like that. Yeah, thanks. I'm not going to be your savior. Answering a number of questions. The author also explained that he doesn't really think this girl is bad. It's just one of his character traits to try to help everyone around him at any cost. That's why he was afraid of getting into a codependent relationship. Write in the comments, by the way, if you recognized yourself in this author. I dated 3 women who were too hot for me on the attractiveness scale. Dumped all 3. The first girl basically wanted me to agree with her all the time. Everything had to be her way all the time. She thought the universe revolved around her, and woe to me if I didn't agree with that illusion. We dated for 4 months. Since we broke up in 1998, she hasn't had a relationship longer than that. She never realized that she was the problem, and she constantly pours out her soul on social media about how terrible all men are. How do I know all this? She is my best friend now, second girlfriend. I should have always said yes. Sorry, honey, but sometimes you can get no, we're still friends, just not that close. In the end, she found herself a miserable guy who would give her the world. Every time I meet him, he looks so miserable. I think he realized that she really only loves his money. They've been together 11 years, no kids, and I wonder if they ever have sex. She looks like a cross between Jessica Alba and Jennifer Aniston. He looks like a fat, bald John Cusack. Third girl. She liked intimacy. A lot. Very often. As it turns out, with very many. I think everything is clear here. She was just cruel. It still upsets me to this day because I really liked this girl. She's very beautiful. One of the smartest and most gifted people I've ever met. Honestly, I blame her upbringing for everything. Very toxic parents and siblings. They constantly shamed each other for everything and lashed out at each other if they thought one of them wasn't good enough by one of their stupid standards. I tried to change her for a while, but it just didn't work. She was cruel to people around her at the most inappropriate times, like a bully in schools. This girl broke up with me twice over minor disagreements. Nothing major, just the usual relationship stuff that needed to be discussed. When we got back together the second time, I made it clear that breaking up was not an acceptable method of resolving such disagreements. And I'm not a fucking idiot, so we won't get back together if it happens again. It happened again. I kept my word. When she asked if we could get back together and I said no, she literally said, "Well, it's worse for you because I'm a godsend." And I said, "Sure, maybe for some people, but definitely not for me." She hung up and we never spoke again. She started being disrespectful to me in public, talking about how she was independent. No man could tame her, all that crap. I never tried to do anything like that. I just wanted to have a peaceful, pleasant, and respectful relationship with her. But after a year of great sex, I mean really great, her attitude and lack of respect for me made me leave her. Anyway, I miss her a lot. Or rather, about excellent intimacy. That's all. I hope you've made some conclusions for yourself. And which ones exactly? Write in the comments. Subscribe to our channel so as not to miss new interesting stories. Good luck and see you soon.